Hello everyone and welcome back to Cute Crochet. My name is Sri and in today's video I am going to show you how to make these adorable little bird amigurumis. These are really super easy to make and perfect for beginners. Using this pattern you can make any kind of bird just by changing the colors and adding some distinguishing features. To make these you will need the colors that you want for the bird plus some black for the eyes. You will need a blank keychain to turn these into key rings, some stuffing to stuff the amigurumi, and for tools you are going to need a crochet hook, a yarn needle, something to use as a stitch marker, and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. I am going to start with this yellow yarn for the head. This is a 4-ply yarn and with it I am going to use a 3mm crochet hook, which is a couple of sizes smaller than what is recommended for this yarn. It's actually recommended to use a 4mm hook with this. We do this so that our stitches are nice and tight and none of the stuffing shows through. We are going to start by making a magic circle. To do that, wrap your yarn up and over your finger like so, forming a cross in the front. Then insert your hook underneath the cross. Take the yarn from the other side and pull through. Then again yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Now remove this loop from your finger and this is the magic circle that we are going to work into. Start by making a chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Then we are going to make 6 single crochets into the magic circle. To make a single crochet, insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. You will have 2 loops on your hook like this. Yarn over and pull through the 2 loops and that finishes 1 single crochet. Let's do it again. Insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2. Now we are going to make 4 more single crochets like this for a total of 6 single crochets. After you finish making 6 single crochets, you can pull on this tail to cinch the magic circle completely closed, and this brings us to the end of round 1. At the end of round 1, we have 6 single crochets. This amigurumi is going to be worked in continuous rounds, so we need to mark the last stitch of the round. For that I am using a paper clip here, but you can use anything. You can use a yarn in a different color or you can also get proper stitch markers. Round 2 is an increase round. For this round, we are going to increase in each stitch all the way around. An increase is simply placing 2 single crochets into one stitch. So, go into that first single crochet and make 1 single crochet. Then make 1 more single crochet into that same stitch and that is our increase stitch. Again, into the next stitch, place 2 single crochets. Now into the remaining 4 stitches of the round, make increases, that is 2 single crochets into the same stitch. When you reach the last stitch of the round, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into that stitch as well. This brings us to the end of round 2. At the end of round 2, you will have 12 single crochets. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. For round 3, we are going to increase into every alternate stitch. So, into that first stitch, make a single crochet. Then into the next stitch, 2 single crochets. Then into the next stitch, 1 single crochet, then increase. Continue repeating like this. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase all the way around. Once you reach the last stitch, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into it. For this and every other increase round, you should be increasing into the last stitch, and if you are not, you must have done something wrong in your counting and you will have to recheck your work. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. At the end of round 3, you will have 18 single crochets. For round 4, we are going to simply place 1 single crochet into each stitch of the previous round, keeping the stitch count constant at 18. Now we are at the end of round 4. Go ahead and replace the stitch marker. Then repeat the same thing as round 4 for 2 more rounds, so for rounds 5 and 6. Here I am at the end of round 6. At this point I am going to change colors. So for that, slip stitch into the next stitch and then fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail for weaving in. Through that same last stitch, bring that yarn tail to the back to make it easier to walk over. Now I am going to join the new color 2 stitches before the stitch marker, which is this stitch. With the new color of yarn, wrap it on your crochet hook like so. Then go into the stitch that I pointed out before and make a slip stitch to join. Then chain 1 to start the round. Then for round 7, start by making 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Then from the next stitch, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into that stitch. Then make 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, working over the tails as you go. The next stitch will be the stitch that has the slip stitch into it. Then into the next stitch, increase. Continue repeating the sequence of 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then increase all the way around. Here I am at the end of round 7. At the end you will have 24 stitches. Don't forget to mark the last stitch of the round. Then for rounds 8 and 9 I am going to make one single crochet into each stitch all the way around. I am going to finish these 2 rounds and then meet back up with you. Here I am at the end of round 9. Now I am going to make the tail. For the tail, start by chaining 7. Then we are going to walk into this chain. To do that, flip the chain over. We are going to walk into these back bumps, these loops right here. So for that, skip that first chain and into the back loop of the second chain, make a single crochet. Then go into the back bump of the next chain and make a single crochet. If it's too tight, you can loosen it a little bit with your crochet hook first. Continue making single crochets like this into the next 4 chains for a total of 6 single crochets. So this is going to be the tail of the bird. As you can see, it has a finished edge on both sides since we walked in the back loops of the chain. Then we are going to continue along with round 10. For round 10, start by making one single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Continue doing that until you reach the tail part. Here I have reached the stitch marker of round 10. Remove the stitch marker and place one single crochet into that last stitch. Then we are going to walk up the tail a little bit. Make one single crochet into the first 3 stitches of the tail. Then chain 1 and move over to the other side of the tail. On this side, we are again going to walk into the last 3 stitches of the tail. Now this is the last stitch of the round. Go ahead and mark it. At the end of round 10, you will have 30 stitches. Then for round 11, I am going to make one single crochet into each stitch all the way around. Here I am at the tail part. I am going to make one single crochet into the first 3 stitches of the tail. Then simply skip over the chain 1 space and then continue working into the next 3 stitches of the tail. This brings us to the end of round 11. Go ahead and mark the last stitch of the round. Then from round 12 we are going to start decreasing. For that, start by making one single crochet into the first 3 stitches. Then into the next 2 stitches I am going to make an invisible decrease. For that, we are only going to go under the front loop of the stitch instead of both of the loops like we have been doing. So go under the front loop of one stitch, then twist your hook around and go under the front loop of the next stitch and pull up a loop. Then finish the stitch like you normally would for a single crochet, and that's our invisible decrease. Then make one single crochet into the next 3 stitches. Then into the next 2 stitches, invisible decrease. Continue repeating like this, one single crochet into the next 3 stitches and then invisible decrease all the way around. Here I am at the last 2 stitches of the round. Similar to the increased round, into the last 2 stitches of the decreased round you should always be decreasing. This brings us to the end of round 12. At the end of round 12 you will have 24 stitches. Go ahead and mark the last stitch of the round. For round 13, start by making one single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Then into the next 2 stitches, invisible decrease. Again make one single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Then into the next 2 stitches, invisible decrease. Now continue repeating the sequence of one single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then invisible decrease all the way around. Here I'm at the end of round 13. Into the last 2 stitches you should be decreasing. At the end of round 13 you will have 18 stitches. For round 14, make 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Then into the next 2 stitches invisible decrease. Again 1 single crochet into the next stitch and then invisible decrease. Continue repeating this sequence of 1 single crochet and invisible decrease all the way around. At the end of round 14, you will have 12 single crochets. Go ahead and mark the last stitch of the round. At this point, we are going to stuff the body. For round 15, we are going to decrease into every stitch all the way around. While doing this, I am keeping one finger on top of the stuffing to keep it out of the way as much as possible. Here I am at the end of round 15. At the end, there should be 6 stitches remaining. Cut the excess yarn, leaving a long enough tail for sewing, and then fasten off. Then to close up the hole, I am going to weave this tail in and out through the front loops of all of the stitches of this round. Then when you pull on this tail, it should close up the hole nicely. Leave that yarn tail hanging there for now. And this is the main body of the bird complete. Next, I am going to make the beak of the bird. The beak is going to go on round 5, and to center the beak I am just going to use this yarn tail and I am going to pull it up over the top of the head, lining it up with the center, and where it intersects with round 5 is where the beak should be, which is right here. For the beak, I am going to be using this light pink yarn, and to join it to the body, wrap it on your crochet hook like so. Then go under the stitch that we previously pointed out and make a slip stitch to join the yarn. Pull on the two sides of the yarn to tighten that knot. Then for the main beak portion, I am just going to make 2 chains. Then I am going to go back under that same stitch and make a slip stitch. And that's all for the beak. Now you can go ahead and cut the excess yarn and fasten off by pulling the yarn through. Then to secure the beak, go under that same stitch but in the opposite direction this time. Through it, bring both of the yarn tails down to the same hole. Then we are going to tie a knot using these two tails. Then you can cut the excess yarn and then hide the knot into the body by pushing it in using the back of your yarn needle. That should be it for your little tiny beak. Next, I am going to embroider its eyes using some black yarn and the French knot technique. First, I am going to mark where the eyes are going to go using some pins. I am going to place the eyes in between rounds 4 and 5, 3 stitches away from the beak. So right here, I am going to again mark the same spot on the other side of the beak. Once you are happy with the placement of the eyes, you can go in with the black yarn. Come in through the back of the head of the amigurumi and out through one of the holes where the pins are. Once you have located the hole, you can remove your pin. Then pull your yarn through, but don't pull it all the way. Leave a little bit hanging at the back. Then, to make the French knot, wrap the base of the yarn on your yarn needle a couple of times like so. Then, go back into the same hole that we came out of and then come out where the next pin is. So, right here, you can also go ahead and remove the pin. Pull your yarn through gently so that it forms a nice circular knot, and that's called the French knot. Now we are going to repeat the same thing on the other side of the head for the other eye. Wrap the base of your yarn on your yarn needle a couple of times and then go back in through the same hole, and this time come out of the hole that we came in through initially. Once you're happy with the placement of the eyes, you can go ahead and secure the embroidery by tying a knot using these two tails at the back of the head. Then cut off the excess yarn and then hide the knot into the body by pushing it in using the back of your yarn needle. Next, I am going to make the wings of the bird. For that, I am using this grey yarn that I dyed myself. It came out really patchy and uneven. It might not look like that on camera, but in real life it is. I thought I would never get to use it, but for feathers, I think it actually looks pretty cool. We are going to start by making a magic circle. Start by making a chain 1 and then make 6 single crochets into the magic circle. After doing that, close up the magic circle. Then slip stitch into the first stitch to join, and this brings us to the end of round 1. For round 2, start by making chain 1 and then make 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Then into the next stitch I am going to make a half double crochet. To make a half double crochet, yarn over, then go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all the 3 loops at the same time, and that's a half double crochet. Then into the next stitch again make a half double crochet, yarn over, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all the 3 loops. Then I am going to make a picot. For that, chain 2 and then slip stitch into the second chain from your hook. Then make one more half double crochet into that same stitch. This will create the point of the wing. Then make one half double crochet into the next stitch. Then into each of the remaining 2 stitches of the round make 2 single crochets. This brings us to the end of round 2. Slip stitch on top of the first single crochet to join. Then you can cut any excess yarn, leaving a long enough tail for sewing, and then fasten off. Through that same last stitch, bring that yarn tail to the back to make it easier for sewing. Of course, you will need to make 2 wings. Position the wing on the side of the body however you would like. You can tuck in the yarn tail underneath the wing like this before sewing it on. I like to line up the wing with respect to the eye. Then to sew on the wing seamlessly, take one loop from the body and one loop from underneath the wing like so, and sew through both of them. Repeat like this all the way around the wing. Once you finish sewing all the way around, bring that yarn tail in behind the wing and then out through the back of the amigurumi. Then leave that yarn tail hanging there for now. Now I will repeat the same thing on the other side for the other wing. I will do this and then meet back up with you. Here I finished sewing the second wing. Again I will bring this yarn tail in behind the wing and then out through the same hole as the previous yarn tail. Then put this yarn tail on a yarn needle and then bring it in through the center of the hole and out through the same hole as the previous two yarn tails. Then tie a knot using all the three yarn tails. Then cut the excess yarn and then hide the knot into the body by pushing it in using the back of your yarn needle. So this is the basic bird shape. To add a keychain, take the same color yarn as the head of the amigurumi on your yarn needle. Then come in through the back of the head of the amigurumi and out through the top hole. Don't pull the yarn all the way through. Then bring in your keychain and sew through the jump ring. Then go back down the same way. Then tie a knot using these two tails. Then cut the excess yarn and hide the knot into the body. If your bird doesn't have any extra features, then you're all done. But since I'm making a cockatoo, I'm just going to make a crest for it. With some yellow yarn, I'm starting by making a slip knot. Then chain 5. Then slip stitch into the second chain from your hook. Then into the remaining 3 chains, make 1 single crochet. Then chain 4. Slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. Then 1 single crochet into the remaining 2 chains. Two spikes for the crest are done. Then chain 3. Again slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. Then 1 single crochet into the last chain. Then you can cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail to sew on the crest. We are going to fold this piece accordion style like this and then sew it on top of the head. First, I am going to make a couple of stitches along the top edge to keep the spikes in place. Then position the crest on top of the head and sew it in place like I've done here. Make sure to do this before adding the keychain. Finally, I am adding the orange cheek blushes that a cockatoo has. For that, I am using some orange eyeshadow and a small makeup brush. I am just going to pick up some pigment and dab it on the amigurumi. Keep in mind that this will come off in the wash and you'll have to reapply it. And that's it. I hope you guys liked this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.